All right, this one was Standard 5, Application of Content, which was the project-based learning lesson. And for this lesson, I did like kind of a larger role-playing and imagination-based lesson about working to buy presents for Christmas.
Right.
So the first standard was, did the candidate introduce interdisciplinary themes in the lesson? So, civic literacy, health literacy, global awareness, those are tough for, 4 to 6 year olds. But I tried to bring in, occupations, which is a theme we've already covered, working in order to make money, typing and reading and math for adding up prices when they wanted to buy things, and talked about different occupations making different amounts of money. So I tried to integrate some different things into the lesson.
Yeah, at the beginning of that lesson, I remember we were talking about the different jobs and the fields of work and how they all paid differently. So you gave him I think that you explained well, like about the different jobs and like the amount of money they might make with these different jobs. You talked about the kind of work that they might do and why they get paid so much. So for that one, because this one's it was quite a wide range of stuff that you would have had to go over, and of course because they're 4 to 6. Going over some of that stuff is a little more difficult.
Yeah, but I guess on the kind of just interdisciplinary level, like I tried to incorporate reading and writing and math and occupations and shopping and Christmas into one activity.
Right. I would say proficient because of the level of stuff that it would ask to go over.
Yeah.
But only proficient because we couldn't go over like all of that stuff. But you still did real well. Like I said, giving them a sense of understanding of job placements.
Cool. The next one was literacy across the curriculum. So did the candidates support literacy as they taught content to students? And we do a lot of reading and writing in our regular phonics lessons here.
Yes.
But I tried to do a good amount of literacy here. When it was reading, they had to read the occupation cards at the beginning. We kind of drilled those cards. They had to type into the keyboard, which they've never done before. They had to find a picture present and look it up on a list to find the price. So they had to, take the picture, think about what it was, and read it off of the list. And they had to write out who the present was to and from on the back. So some reading, some writing.
Yeah, so for this one, I'd say outstanding. I mean, because like you said, we do, a lot of our stuff is based off of phonics and reading and writing already. And then within the lesson, there was a lot of, we did a lot of the reading and writing in the lesson, both with the cards that they read and then typing on the keyboard, which was something new for them. But they were engaged.
And I tried to keep it like systematically sprinkled through, as opposed to having like a reading or writing part to it.
Right.
Tried to put little bits throughout.
And because of their ability to already read and write, well, most of them at least, they were able to just go into it. Really, it went smooth. They were able to go into it quicker than I imagined.
Yeah, we didn't actually have to teach them much. They kind of just like supported what they were already doing.
Right. So yeah, outstanding for that.
Great. The next one was using digital tools and resources for learning during the lesson. So I tried to get them engaged in the occupations. They used a little online random word generator.
Right.
Kind of like, I don't know, Wheel of Fortune style. And I think that helped them at least be interested in what occupations they were getting assigned. After that, they did typing, which is the first time they've ever really used a keyboard in the class. They used a calculator when they were adding up prices for their shopping. So I tried to sprinkle it in throughout, and I hope it was helpful.
Yeah, I think it was fun. the whole spinning wheel thing, which was new for them. We'd never done that before, you know, and we could have done that with cards, I think, but when we did it digital, like it came out to be a whole new kind of game for them.
Yeah, I think they're used to just using flashcards for that sort of stuff. But being able to, you know, like click a mouse, watch something, you know, bright colored wheel go on and keep on the screen, I think it helped keep them engaged.
So I'd say outstanding for this one because of that, like, because you pulled out all these resources. It kept them engaged in the lesson, and even kept them like, it was like they were all ready for the next surprise. Especially with using the calculator, which for some of them was a first.
Yeah, I think that was a first for them too.
Yeah, so introducing them to this kind of these other resources that we do have the ability to give them.
And again, trying to keep it in kind of like the first introduction, but introduction in a real world setting.
Right.
Like this is how you actually might have to use a keyboard or actually might have to use a calculator.
Right. And then even before we even produced that to them, or before you showed it to them, you explained all the processes to them beforehand so that they'd be ready to use it as well. So again, I'd say outstanding because of the number of stuff we used in that lesson.
Cool. The next one was application to real-world problems. Did the candidate relate the lesson to real-world realities that are relevant to students? You know, this is, again, local, national, global contexts. That's tough. But, you know, these guys are pretty young. So I did try to introduce the idea that different jobs might make different amounts of money. You know, you need money to do things like buy things. So your Christmas presents, if mom and dad buy you a Christmas present, it doesn't just appear. You know, they had to work for it. And then beyond that, you know, when they were done, how much money do you have left over? If you were a grown-up, you'd also need money left over to buy all the food that you eat and the clothes that you wear. So, you know, kind of tried to make it a little more real-world grounded for them.
And so for this one, I'd say proficient. Because of course, because it says one of the things it would have wanted us to go over were the world problems in local, national, or global context, and I don't think we could go into that. But we did, like you said, we kept it grounded to like basics, like I said before, of jobs, the different jobs, the kind of money that's used, and why we would use the money for certain things. What's more important, food or toys? You went over those things with them, and before that, you actually let them experience spending their money on like gadgets and stuff, and then afterwards you explain, well, now you're broke, and you gave them like a sense of like, look, this is what you spent your money on. Now you have no money, and this is why we don't do that. This is why your parents don't spend money like that. They have to, you know, put their responsibilities first, food, shelter, and all that. So you did talk to that to the kids, and the way you did it was good because it was kind of rather than give them a warning ahead of time, you let them kind of
do it.
Yeah, and then maybe afterwards they had the sense of thought like, well, yeah, I guess I did spend my money on nothing.
Yeah.
So the way it was delivered was, I think it was better to not give them a warning, but to let them spend it, find out later on that they might have made some mistakes there, and then you made it into a whole other learning. There was at the end there was still further lesson to go with on that part. So only proficient because of the
local, national.
Yeah,
sure. Then I think, you know, if we would have tried to do that, I think it would have just gotten confusing for them. But yeah, totally. And I think what you're saying about letting them spend the money and then realize at the end of the lesson, like, okay, Kai, like you have $0 left, and how are you going to eat? It kind of goes into the next one, which is the project-based learning. So tried to set the whole thing up as, you know, we're on a journey, and the journey is the learning. So instead of telling them up front, this is what we're going to do, was letting them learn as they go. So, you know, getting a job, they have to work their job to get the money to go shopping. So going step by step, but you know, they kind of drove the lesson. It wasn't really me teaching them or telling them. It was like, okay, you're at a store. You can buy, if you have $11, you can only spend $11, go ahead. And they had to kind of figure out if, you know, they grab $20 worth of stuff, they can't afford it. So letting them learn along the way, oh, okay, I have $11, so I've got to make sure everything comes in under $11.
Right.
And then at the end, you know, oh, maybe I shouldn't have spent all my money.
Right, and there was a lot of independent learning in this part. Having them go to the store, and even like every step of that part, it was interesting because we had different reactions. Some kids, they kind of figured things out early on, while some, they kept trying to buy more than they could. And so they'd figure it out, like, as they were coming up to the calculator, like, no, you can't actually afford that. You got to go back. And it made them think about, okay, what, maybe not, I mean, to a certain extent, they balanced what they really wanted.
Priorities, right? Like,
Yeah, they prioritized, like, well, maybe I'll take the yo-yo and stuff. So it was interesting to watch them, you know, come up with their own, like, conclusions of what they're going to go to the register with. And like, and some it took a few times, but it was good because they were able to go back and forth on their own, figure this out on their own. I mean, we gave them some guidance along the way, but watching the outcomes at the end where they had no money as well, you could see that they had a bit of understanding there, like, of how they could have or should have used their money. That was an interesting lesson. There was constant learning throughout.
And I tried to kind of go, you know, because the theme was Christmas,
right?
From like presents, you know, going from presents, you need money,
right?
Money means you need to use math, and also money means you need to have a job,
right?
And a job might require, you to have other skills. And shopping, even, you know, you're going to have to be able to read to do shopping.
Right,
so kind of tying themes together, but also trying to tie, like, the core math and phonics into real life.
Right.
Like, these aren't just things we're learning for no reason.
Right. So I saw a lot of that. There was a lot of consistency, a lot of continuous lessons. For this one, I'd say outstanding for this one as well. Like, I mean, you went over all these things with the children, like you said, math and phonics with them, real world, you know, having to read and having to understand, like, why we need the money and what for. But it was the way you introduced these subjects to them, but along the way you also let them independently do things on their own and kind of figure things out. And even as they were figuring it out, you still continued, like, okay, and then this is why, and you'd answer those unanswered questions that they'd already built from just going through, you know, why don't I have any money left, or oh, I didn't think about having food or something, like.
Sure.
So yeah, outstanding on that one. There was a lot of stuff that went through. I don't know what else to say.
No, yeah, thank you. That was. I thought that was a fun lesson.
That was an interesting lesson.
It would be nice to try and do more lessons like that are kind of sprawling and, you know, multi-component and kind of, you know, all-encompassing of all the things we do, as opposed to being super specific.
And to expand on that, I really liked that lesson because, like, I say this again, for reals, the reactions that they had afterwards, like Kai and there was some others that they really looked shocked, like, oh yeah, and they really learned something there. That was an interesting lesson.
Awesome, thanks, man.
Yeah.
All right, great.